I'm starting to realize a major trend, y'all. It genuinely seems like the people who have the biggest crash outs in Hollywood are always the people who started off as childhood stars. The Disney Channel celebrities, the Nickelodeon celebrities, the Justin Biebers and the Lil Waynes. Everybody who started off their career at a young age always has the biggest transformation. I mean, just take a look at Amanda Bynes, bro. This is genuinely sad to see. Someone who started off youthful, beautiful, glowing, had a vibrant energy to her, ends up looking like this. And I'm not one to discriminate based on looks, but this is just sad to see, right? Then we have people like the obvious Orlando Brown. Once again, so youthful, funny, charismatic. And now he's a little cuckoo in the cabeza, all right? We have people like Miley Cyrus, Disney Channel star, had the most popular show on Disney, Miley Cyrus. And now she's taking pictures looking, I don't even know. She doesn't even look human, yeah. And the most recent person, the person that made me actually start looking into this was Taylor Chase, bro. This is someone who's been going viral recently for being spotted all over the streets of Los Angeles for being homeless. You have people coming and trying to give him money, trying to give him food, even people trying to give him makeovers to get him back on his feet. The whole point I'm trying to make here is that it's genuinely sad when we see these kids become victims of what they saw to be the dream life, the limelight, the superstardom. And in today's video, we're going to be exposing all of it, the horrifying cost of being a Disney pop star, yeah? Because it goes a lot deeper than what most people think. A lot of people just assume that behind the glitz and the glamour and the camera, the money, that they're happy. Majority of the time, they're not. I'm always the one to say, give me the money, you can keep the fame. I'd rather have my freedom than to have the fame. Make sure you guys do leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. But let's get into this video, y'all.
When most of us think about Disney, we think about wholesome childhood memories, or maybe even our favorite TV show or movie. But in reality, Disney's just one big corporate money-making machine. They basically own everything. TV shows, movies, theme parks, Hulu,
disgusting.
ESPN, ABC,
Disgusting.
and record labels. They make money from controlling characters and brands. And the people inside those brands, they're just assets. And most of them aren't even adults yet. See, when Disney finds a kid with star potential, they milk them for everything they can. They build an entire ecosystem around them. The show, the tours, the merch, the public appearances. Every part of that kid's image is managed by the company. Down to what they wear, what they say, how they act in public. You're 13, 14 years old just trying to figure yourself out and barely have any control of your own life. On the outside looking in, everything seems to be perfect. The machine prints more money, the kid gets famous, everybody's happy, at least for a while. See, when I started looking at every pop star who got their start at Disney, I kept seeing the same thing play out. Phase
Every
one,
time,
you're
bro.
young, you're wholesome, or at least you have to pretend to be. Every part of your image is controlled. Then phase two, your contract ends and overnight you finally get your freedom, except you haven't been prepared for it. And then phase three, you either rebel against the fake image of yourself or you just collapse.
Now, this month is the last opportunity to get access to the exact business system that has helped students like Elijah make over $10,000 in a single week, or even students like Ariel and Jeremiah who were able to make $6,000 in a single day. And the beauty about it is they made all of their money from their phone. Now, we all already know that starting an online business is the one opportunity that you have to create location freedom, time freedom, and the peace of mind that will allow you to do what you want with your time. So if you're serious about establishing an online income, click the link in the description. Watch the short video to learn exactly what my students and I are doing, and even take a look at some of the testimonials from students that I am currently working with. And if you decide to take the next step, then you can book your one-on-one call where you and I will speak directly about how to get you started with this business. But with that being said, let's hop back into this video.
So much so that you almost forgot that not that long ago, she was on drugs, addicted to alcohol, and was arrested multiple times. Now, even though most people never directly tie her to Disney, her most notable and breakout roles were two Disney movies, The Parent Trap and Freaky Friday. Lindsay also had a music career. She wasn't really a singer, but when you're a Disney child star, that doesn't matter. She signed a record deal with Casablanca Records, but they weren't signing Lindsay Lohan, a singer. They were signing Lindsay Lohan, the Disney star. Now, Lindsay's issues really started at home, from the toxic relationship between her parents. She had to constantly perform the balancing act between dealing with family drama and smiling for the camera and being a kid,
Always
teenage
starts
role
at
model.
home, bro.
The first day of
Always.
filming Parent Trap in LA, my dad came to see us, and then 2 feds walked in and cuffed him and put him in the car.
But even worse, once Disney was done with her, she went from being one of the most supervised young women in Hollywood to being completely on her own. Here she is, a 19, 20-year-old with unlimited money, unlimited access, and a level of fame that most adults can't handle. And then we got free Lindsay. The partying, the DUIs, the legal troubles, in and out of court, in and out of rehab, the mugshots. The problem with becoming a pop star at Disney is the system was never designed to prepare her for what comes after. And with no stability at home, she never stood a chance. One day you're a Disney property, and the next day it's just you in the media. Now you have to figure out how to become an adult, but the cameras never stop rolling. Demi Lovato is one of the best singers to come out of Disney. She would have made it in the music industry either way, but her roles on Camp Rock and Sunny with a Chance made her a superstar. She wasn't quite ready for it, but that
Not gonna lie, low-key had a crush on Demi Lovato when I was a kid, bro. I ain't gonna... Listen, Demi Lovato, that was the... She thick. When I'm a kid, she over here singing on Camp Rock. Listen, little 10, 11, 12-year-old NiTris was tuning into Disney Channel for Demi Lovato. I need to show, bro.
that star power turned her into one of Disney's biggest cash cows.
You talk in the documentary about the commodification of these Disney and Nickelodeon stars, yourself included.
Facts.
Do you remember how you felt when you first saw your image kind of exploding in that way, like the merchandising angle of it and all of that?
You know, I didn't really understand how that could affect my psyche. You really start questioning all of the decisions that you make. And as a rebellious teenager, I resented that.
She's the star of a hit Disney Channel movie. She has her own show, and she has vocals for days. All of that made her the perfect candidate for Disney's record label, Hollywood Records. Disney created Hollywood Records in 1989. Before then, they only did soundtrack releases. But the CEO at the time, Michael Eisner, noticed they were leaving too much money on the table. Disney was ready to expand into the mainstream music industry. Hollywood Records' first big success was Hilary Duff. And even though she wasn't a
I
good
remember
singer,
Hilary
the
Duff.
formula worked anyway. From then on, if you became a fan favorite on a Disney show, the music deal was bundled right into your contract. So now, Disney doesn't just control your image and your show, they control your music too. And Hollywood Records doesn't work like a normal record label. See, labels like Universal and Sony, they go out and they find real artists and real singers. But at Hollywood, they take kids who are already famous from the show and they push them into the music industry and they force them to make watered down pop to fit the Disney brand. Now, usually the crash out happens after Disney, but with Demi, her problem started while she was still there. The eating disorders, the self-harm, drug use, the pressure to maintain this wholesome image all while falling apart on the inside. All of this was happening while she was still on Disney's payroll, still smiling for the cameras.
It was only
I did not know any of that.
2
man.
weeks before I was introduced to heroin and crack cocaine.
My first time doing coke, I was 17, working on Disney Channel, and I loved it.
I think that to be the poster child of perfection and mental health and all these kind of things is such a dangerous, slippery slope.
Be the good girl, hit your marks, don't complain, don't deviate. But suppressing all of that didn't make it go away. She just delayed it. And then once the Disney structure fell apart, it got worse. Rehab, relapse, public spiral, and then the constant identity shifts. When you spend your teenage years being told what to do by a corporation, you don't develop your own identity, you develop theirs. And when that disappears, you're left trying to figure out who you are in front of the entire world. The Hannah Montana show was pretty ironic. Miley lives a double life, normal kid by day, famous pop star by night. And then in real life, she lived the exact same reality. She said the role caused her to have body dysmorphia and that she couldn't tell the difference between herself and the character. When your developing brain is being asked to split itself into two, and one of those people is owned by Disney, that does something to you.
You know, at one point, again, it went from, it was school, then it went from, you know, how much weed can I actually smoke and still play a teenage superstar on the Disney Channel?
You know what I'm saying? I told you.
What's the answer to that question?
more than you would fucking think.
And of course, Hollywood Records had the music deal. Hannah Montana albums, Miley Cyrus albums, soundtracks. They built her up as this all-American perfect sweetheart. And then the contract ended and all hell broke loose. The VMAs, the bangers era, shaking her ass. They say all publicity is good publicity, but going from Disney Channel to face down ass up, that's a big ass for your audience. But I guess that was the point. See, Miley needed to destroy Hannah Montana so aggressively, so publicly, that no one would ever could confuse the two again. Because as long as people saw Hannah when they looked at her, she was still trapped.
While you were shedding your Disney persona and becoming an adult in the public eye, when you look back at that period, what do you see?
What I see in myself is being bold and courageous and like having the guts, and I see myself being authentic to me. That's what I was doing.
Miley went from Hollywood Records to RCA Records, where she finally had the freedom to be herself. But because Disney doesn't know what to do with you once the show is over, she didn't know how to be herself. From there, she basically went through a long identity crisis. She took on the slutty persona with bangers, then she took on a hippie dreadlock persona with her experimental album, and then she wanted to appeal to a more conservative crowd and went country for her album Younger Now. Now, luckily for Miley, she did eventually find a way to be edgy and be herself without being the provocative sex object. It took about 10 years to destroy the Disney persona and build something better, but she finally found her sound and found a purpose with starting the Happy Hippie Foundation.
I wanted to give my life a bigger purpose. I did not want me naked on a wrecking ball engraved on my tombstone and that be all that I'm worth. I want my legacy not to be about the amount of records that I've sold. I first and foremost want to be known as a humanitarian and, you know, an activist.
Now, honestly, Bangers was a hit. It went multi-platinum, and she needed that artistic freedom at the time. Now, we can't directly blame Disney for the mental health issues she had along the way, but it does seem to be a recurring theme in all the Disney child stars. Now, growing up, I think a lot of us fantasize what it would be like to be a child star on one of these TV sets of our favorite show, but in reality, not everything is always what it seems. Selena Gomez didn't have legal issues like Lindsay. She didn't spiral like Demi, and she didn't rebel like Miley, but she withdrew and kept her darkness inside, which can sometimes be worse. Same system, same Hollywood Records deal, and the same pressures from Disney to be innocent.
And we
perfect. But instead of
we've already made a few videos about Selena Gomez, because she just doesn't look the same, yeah. It really just seems like she's been going through stuff. Genuinely. I feel like every single childhood star that we talk about on this channel, they always seem like they're just going through something major. Let me know in the comments right now if you know anybody who has come from and gotten out of Hollywood sane. If you know somebody who has not been a victim of Hollywood, let me know in the comments, because I can't think of one right now, bro. I'm not gonna
damage showing up as chaos on the outside. Selena suffered in silence, and everything came to a head as she struggled to build her own image after Disney.
I feel like a product. It was like making me angry. You know what it is it made me feel like Disney. I just like, I've spent years of my life trying to not be that.
Anxiety, depression, having to live with being bipolar, stepping away from the spotlight multiple times. And on top of the psychological trauma, she also had to deal with physical issues. She was diagnosed with lupus and she had a kidney transplant. Now, Selena has never alluded to Disney being the source of any of her issues, but if you read between the lines and listen to some of her interviews, it's pretty clear as day.
Disney Channel is definitely a machine. They obviously care about a show, they want to make it the best, and they give everything they can into one thing in each of their projects.
The pressure to always be likable, to always be positive, to never show weakness. If you grew up in the Disney system and those messages were drilled into you from childhood, they don't just disappear when you become an adult. In 2021, in an interview with Vogue, she said, "That was my job in a way, to be perfect. You're considered a figure kids look up to, and they take that seriously there." Then she went on to say, "I think I spent so many years just trying to say the right thing to people for the sake of keeping myself sane." The biggest problem in Selena's story is she tried to keep being good, so much so that it took a toll on her own health. She's proof that the damage isn't always the kind you can see. It looks different, but it's the same Disney curse. Now, if we want to go even deeper, we can see many more examples. Britney Spears got her start on Disney with the Mickey Mouse Club. Now, her downfall was much more complicated, but becoming a star at such a young age laid the foundation for issues that will haunt her for the rest of her career. Bella Thorne from Disney's Shake It Up, she came out and spoke publicly about being SA from an early age, but she also spoke about the Disney pressure to appear perfect and how it made everything worse. And she had to pretend to be someone that she wasn't just to keep the gig. Then Zac Efron from High School Musical, he ended up in rehab for cocaine and alcohol. Dove Cameron had panic attacks while filming Liv and Maddie. She was grieving her father's death and dealing with an eating disorder.
Like name one that has not been a victim. Name one. Just one, bro.
At the same time. And we all know Shia LaBeouf from Even Stevens. He's been public about his addiction struggles. And literally, while I'm filming this video, I got a news update saying that he was in New Orleans fighting people at Mardi Gras. Orlando Brown from That's So Raven, his ongoing legal issues and substance abuse and just being batshit crazy on a regular basis. You know, it actually kind of sucks, especially as being a millennial who grew up during the golden age of Disney and Nickelodeon, just to learn that the people you grew up with on your favorite shows, they went through so much darkness. We got documentaries like Quiet on Set that really shines a light on everything. But I guess the silver lining in all of this is now that so much has come to light, things are actually starting to change a little bit. Not just on TV, but child star influencers too. In 2024, Governor Newsom signed an expansion of the Coogan Law, which originally protected child actors' earnings, but now it also covers child influencers and content creators. And Raven Simone, she's doing her part and hired a therapist to work with child actors on her show Raven's Home. And she's been pushing for mandatory mental health professionals on every set that has minors. Also, Allison Stoner from Camp Rock, she's now working as an on-set mental health coordinator and advocating for it to become an industry standard. Another silver lining is a lot of these Disney child stars, they actually go on to have very successful music careers. However, the story is never really that simple. Sabrina.
And then even if you look at like people who were born into it, like you look at what's his name, D Wade and Gabriella Union's children, cooked. Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox's kids, cooked. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's kids, cooked. Like I don't know what it is. Like I genuinely don't know what it is. All right. I've touched a lot of money in my life. I don't think I've ever, maybe it's the lifestyle that they live. And this is the reason why I feel like it's so important to be grounded to a moral compass, a moral standard. And I feel like that's where that definition of selling your soul actually comes in. Because it really just starts off by giving pieces of your morals away, compromising and doing things that you're not necessarily comfortable doing so you can get that paycheck. Because I would never do half of the things that I see these celebrities doing for a check. I just wouldn't do it, bro. I honestly just wouldn't do it. But that's just me. Now look, y'all. I'm gonna end this video here. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments down below. I'm gonna catch you on the next one, man. Peace.